Other pressing matters. The broadcast begins in 10 seconds. WDBC Internet Television is on. I am an avatar for Michael P. Borgia. The broadcast, originating from deep behind enemy lines, is brought to you by dailyborg.com. Conservative politics for the thoughtful. Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated. We all know that for the next month and a half, President Obama and Congress will be deeply immersed in dealing with the fiscal cliff. But other critical issues also await our leaders now that Congress is back in session. We'll discuss some of them when the broadcast continues in a moment.
Patty, let me be honest with you. Won't filing for Social Security benefits online be confusing?
George, it's simple and easy, and you can do it in your pajamas from the comfort of your own home.
Oh my.
You've navigated through asteroid belts, right?
Oh sure, plenty of times.
Well, compared to that, navigating socialsecurity.gov is a snap.
Really?
It's so easy. Even Kirk could do it.
You say you'd give your right arm to be there for your family? Here's your chance to prove it. Have your blood pressure checked and control it to lower your risk of heart attack and stroke.
After 2 years, $6 billion and 120 million votes, the election is finally over. Now Congress and the President must sit down and find some compromise solutions to some of the thorny problems they created during the last 2 years. The one that has gotten the most attention is the fiscal cliff, a perfect storm of increasing taxes and poorly planned spending cuts that threaten to plunge our weak economy into a new recession. The President, though, has other problems that must be faced and faced soon. Kristen Jones now joins me to discuss the details.
Michael, as you know, it's a common thing for many presidents to go through cabinet reshuffles when one term ends and another begins. What is unusual about this administration is the number of high-level office holders who want to get out. Obama's top 3 cabinet secretaries all want to retire. Hillary Clinton at State has long said she would not serve in a second Obama term. Leon Panetta at Defense has also long hinted at retirement. Timothy Geithner at Treasury is a bit of a surprise, being that he's much younger than the other two. But he's been through a very rough 4 years and is entitled to return to the private sector where a 7-figure job awaits him. For Obama, the challenge is to find replacements.
Treasury should be the easiest to fill, with current White House Chief of Staff Jack Lew, a man with long-standing Wall Street connections, seeming to have the inside track towards a presidential nomination. Filling openings at State and Defense could prove much trickier. One man whose name has been connected with both jobs is Senator John Kerry. Nominating Kerry for Defense could be tricky considering his infamous 1971 rant before a Senate committee, in which he accuses U.S. soldiers of various atrocities including razing villages and a manner reminiscent of Genghis Khan. Republicans, who will have the votes to filibuster his nomination, just might consider doing so. At best, the choice would be very divisive, and at worst it could cost the president considerable embarrassment if it is rejected. Some say the Senate would never reject one of their own. We say that those who believe that should go ask John Tower, the former Texas senator who was rejected for defense in 1989.
Kerry's name has also been mentioned in connection with the State Department, but the inside track on that nomination seems to be held by UN Ambassador Susan Rice. But Rice is buried up to her neck in the Benghazi scandal. Most notably, she made appearances on all 5 major Sunday morning talk shows to repeat the discredited line that the attacks were a spontaneous response to a 1-year-old YouTube video. Rice also gave testimony to Congress on that point, testimony that Congress now knows is false. Rice is also known for her rough language with diplomats, something that Democrats used against John Bolton when they filibustered his nomination for UN ambassador. It would seem that getting Rice into Foggy Bottom will be problematic at best.
Then there's the scandals the president has been dealing with. At least until September 11th, there was only one gaining much public attention: Fast and Furious. Then came the Benghazi attack and the resultant cover-ups in that manner. The president successfully kept the truth of the matter from becoming public until after the election, so that it would not hurt him. How much longer he can do so is an interesting question, especially if he nominates Rice for state. Now come the Petros matter. It appears for 2 months before it was revealed that Attorney General Eric Holder knew the nation's top spy was compromised. If Holder kept that information from Obama, that's a scandal. If he did his duty and told the president, and the president did nothing, that's an even bigger scandal. The nation cannot have a top spy who has been compromised. It is a devastating development with far-reaching national security implications. And now the matter is spreading with another top general involved.
While scandal burns all around Barack Obama, another thorn in his side will begin to irritate him soon. That's the Keystone XL pipeline. Obama, in a desperate gambit to keep environmentalists and labor both in line, delayed a decision for a year while awaiting further environmental review. Those reviews won't change anything. Keystone XL is the most heavily vetted environmental project in history, having already been through 2 environmental impact studies that found it to be airtight. No one knows for sure what decision Obama will make. But he will have to do something soon that we know he does not like to do. Take a stand. And it's going to be one that will anger some part of his base. Saying yes will enrage the environmentalists. Saying no will enrage labor. He owes his presence in office in no small part to both groups. Both feel he owes them. And they're both right.
In the mid-Atlantic and New York, millions of people are suffering from the after-effects of Hurricane Sandy. More than 100 people are dead. Thousands are homeless. Millions have been without power for a week. The administration has been frightfully slow to move even such simple necessities as food and water into the area to help. Residents have said that FEMA officials have been walking around the area aimlessly and with little clue of what to do. Rebuilding the damaged areas of New York and New Jersey will cost tens of billions of dollars in time of deep economic crisis. Obama will have to provide the leadership to answer the questions as to where that money will come from.
Lastly, Obama must deal with the fringe elements of his base demanding legislation he failed to push in the first term. They want their priorities enacted. Liberal Hispanic groups want immigration reform passed in 2013. Environmental groups want Obama to make another push for cap-and-trade style legislation to further their policy goals. Labor wants card check enacted, preferably by legislation, but by executive decree if necessary. Obama will have to deal with all of these liberal policy groups, and he must do so soon. Finally, he must also deal with the enactment of his principal legislative accomplishment. In less than a year, open enrollment for Obamacare will begin. But more than 30 states now have Republican governors, and it's likely that most will refuse to implement the exchanges, a power affirmed by the Supreme Court. States must decide yes or no on implementing the exchanges by the end of this week.
Thanks, Kristen. President Obama, who many thought 2 weeks ago would be packing cardboard boxes for a trip back to Chicago, now has a lot more difficult decisions to make. We'll have some closing thoughts when the broadcast continues in a moment.
When you drive for a living, you buckle up every time, whether you drive one of these or one of these. Truckers know what I'm talking about, because no matter how good a driver you are, trouble can still happen. That's when you want to keep your safety belt on to keep you steady, behind the wheel, in control, and looking out for everybody. Safety is a professional driver's responsibility. Remember, you're the one who drives for a living.
A message from the U.S. Department of Transportation.
It's yours?
No,
My mother said she found it in your closet.
I don't know. One of the guys must
Must have what?
Look, Dad, it's
Where
not...
did you get it?
Dad,
Answer me. Who taught you how to do this stuff?
You, all right? I learned it by watching you.
Parents who use drugs have children who use drugs.
There's been a lot of change under Barack Obama, most of it bad. But it's now likely that at some point in the next few years, you're going to see a change most Americans have not seen in their lives. A change in the number of states. Puerto Rico voted on 2 questions on Election Day. The first asked if they favored a change of status, or wished to maintain the status quo. A huge majority voted to change status. On the second question, statehood won a clear majority over independence and increased autonomy. Puerto Rico's new governor is now likely to petition the Congress for admission to the Union. Take a look at that 50-star flag you've grown up with. You may be seeing a change and very soon. You have been assimilated.